Anyway, let's go now to Yaron Brook. He is the executive director of the Ayn Rand Center. Yaron, how are you, sir?
Good to be here.
Before we transition to this, I just have to ask you real quick. You just got back from Virginia and you spoke to the Republicans?
I was the breakfast keynote speaker at the Republican state convention in Richmond.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
How did that go?
It actually went great. I wasn't sure how it would go. I wasn't sure if they were going to tar and feather me and kick me out of town. But, I told the Republicans that the whole crisis and all the problems we're facing were really their fault, that they're supposed to be the advocates for capitalism, for individual rights, and they're the ones who betrayed those causes. And by betraying them, they've left it wide open.
What happened?
To the Democrats. They clapped. They cheered.
Unbelievable.
That's great.
I
think the Republican Party maybe is thinking about what they stand for.
Maybe. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about this. Here we have a tape where they're saying that they're going to Al-Qaeda is going to come. They're going to come across our border. I mean, who didn't see this coming? This is you got to be a dope not to see this coming. So what do we do as a libertarian-minded kind of guy? What do you do?
Well, you don't build fences, in my view. Look, every country that's tried to win a war by playing defense is lost. You go back to human history, you go back to the Romans, you go back to Greeks. Defense, you can't win a war. You take the war to them. And we haven't done that. Look, we haven't even done it since September 11th. George Bush did not do it properly. He got sidetracked on bringing democracy to the Middle East. We got to go find them and destroy them. And we got to find the regimes that support them and destroy those regimes.
The regimes that support them are the ones we're going over and talking.
I know.
Egypt and Saudi Arabia.
Well, it's certainly Saudi Arabia. It's certainly the Iranians. The Iranians are building nuclear weapons. They won't have to cross the border over from Mexico. They'll be able to launch a missile, or they'll be able to smuggle it in any other way. Look, you build a wall in Mexico, they're coming through Canada. You build a wall in Canada, they'll come through, they'll bring a boat in. They'll find a way in. The point is, we need to make the cost of attacking the United States clear to these guys. Right now, they don't fear us. They don't respect us. They believe we're weak. And President Obama going and making the speech in Cairo, where members of the Muslim Brotherhood have been invited by the United States to participate. The Muslim Brotherhood is the fountainhead of Al-Qaeda.
I know.
It's the fountainhead of Hamas. It's the fountainhead of this entire movement.
And the thing that really bothers me is we say that, he's all, we can't do Gitmo and everything else. If you don't want to do Gitmo, if you don't want to do those things, then you've got to stop rendition. And this really bothers me. If you don't have the courage of your convictions to say, we need to have this information, we need to find it. If you can't do it yourself, you don't send them to Egypt to have those guys do it. That's why people doesn't have
complete hypocrisy,
it's
right?
Complete hypocrisy.
They can touch each other, but not us.
Not us.
Not us. And look, I think one of the keys that I think Bush missed, and I missed that most people miss, is this is not a war on terrorism. That would be like calling World War II a war on kamikaze pilots. Terrorism is a tactic. It's one tactic. The real war here is against a movement, an ideological, political movement. I call it totalitarian Islam. You could call it radical Islam. And until we identify as a movement, we can't select our targets, because if you understand what the movement is, Iraq is not a target, Iran is. Iraq is not a target, Saudi Arabia is not a friend.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Yaron, thank you very much. Okay, we are facing the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Tonight, we're going to give you a couple of segments on this. What we're doing with our dollar is absolutely amazing. We have two people that I really respect on this. You need to hear their point of view. And also, the housing crash. This is what led us there. Have we learned a darn thing? How what we do right now will affect the future of this country. Part 3 of the housing boom and bust with economist Thomas Sowell coming up.